As you fly in or you see pictures of Rio, you see Rio surrounded by the forests and the hills, and you see this city surrounded by nature. The external view of it is this powerful relationship to its environment. And then when you come to Rio and walk the streets, you realize it's not just around the city, it's in the city too. It's in the walls, it's in the street. And I feel that more than any city that I've been to, the presence of nature. So it was that kind of challenge for me as an artist who works with nature, is to find nature in the building and to make that connection between the building and its origin. And that's a very creative sort of dynamic for me to work with.
Ao mesmo tempo que é muito legal fazer alguma coisa aqui, é muito difícil também, né? Você está com concorrentes desleais, né?
Dá para se entender que a vocação do Rio de Janeiro é uma vocação para a vida ao ar livre. A melhor coisa que a gente pode fazer não é tentar pensar numa bienal que ocorra entre quatro paredes cerradas em algum lugar, mas alguma coisa que se integre ao modo de vida do Rio. E a ideia passou a ser, então, comissionar a criação de obras inéditas, feitas no Rio, para lugares do Rio, por artistas de primeiro nível internacional que tiveram experiências de trabalhar o espaço público de maneira muito especial, e aí fazer essas obras acontecerem aqui de forma bastante icônica.
Eu acho que no caso do meu trabalho, ele é como se fosse uma extensão da cidade, ele entra em sintonia com a cidade, ele vai falar de algum aspecto da cidade que está presente, mas ele não vai competir com as outras coisas que já tem. Ele tem a materialidade das coisas que estão ali, ele fala do que estava ali no passado, mas que ainda está em outros lugares. Então acho que ele funciona mais como uma continuidade mesmo do tecido urbano, tem um aspecto de ser quase um elemento natural, tanto do homem, de como o homem ocupa o espaço, como da natureza mesmo, né? Que é o que a gente tem no Rio de Janeiro, né? A criação humana e a natureza se encontrando na cidade.
There's so much to say about this city. Everything is very dynamic, you know, and the nature was amazing. It's kind of crazy, you know, this, and the people and the culture, of course. And the gap of the rich and the poor, everything is kind of extreme for me. Very dynamic, I feel, including positive, negative, all energies.
O processo de seleção de lugares ele foi muito curioso, porque ao conhecer as gramáticas de cada um, eu apontei, olha, vamos passear pelo Rio inteiro, mas eu acho que tem coisa boa para você aqui, ali e acolá. E eles puderam conhecer uma cidade de uma forma nova, ou seja, cada um encontrando o seu canto dentro dela. O Rio oferece muita possibilidade. O potencial que essa cidade tem de cenário é muito espetacular, né? Qualquer coisa inserida dentro desse contexto cresce.
Well, when we were first approached to do the project, we were sent a booklet with, a bunch of different locations all over Rio. And then I came down to do a site visit where I was taken around for about 3-4 days just seeing site after site after site, knowing that he was interested in doing a geometric labyrinth, meaning like using the triangle format. It was the idea kind of to put it into a more urban environment. Coming down here, we saw this space and noticing a lot of the different things about it, such as how it's really a space of transit. So you have a lot of people walking through it, people from all walks of life kind of coming in together. The architecture is really amazing. You have the library, you have municipal buildings, and you also have the theater there. So there's a wide range of things that just happen to go on here.
Normalmente cuando visitas un lugar que no conoces, hay como una especie de choque de trenes con tus ideas y el lugar, ¿no? Las dos cosas son tan importantes que parece que no puedan ponerse de acuerdo. y pasas un tiempo hasta que entiendes muy bien cuál es el lugar y cuál puede ser tu respuesta a sus preguntas. Es una de mis grandes pasiones, la metáfora del agua, el concepto del agua, algo que nunca puedes ver dos veces. Esto lo decía Heráclito, es la idea de que nada se puede estancar, siempre en movimiento. Yo creo que esto es extraordinario, especialmente cuando hablo de escultura, que no se mueve. Esta contradicción entre algo estático y algo permanentemente en movimiento, creo que refleja también muy bien nuestra época actual. Creo que ha sido muy acertada la decisión de hacerlo en Botafogo, porque también detrás de la escultura tiene el pan de azúcar y delante el corcovado que lo acaban de abrazar de una forma muy icónica para la ciudad.
The most important thing is to respect the site, to the place. If I do something open air outside, I totally respect the place first. And I came here last December and I went there and I feel very strange energy and not really nice. I feel it's very strange. Then Marcelo explained that the cultural context about that beach. I did the site specifically fit in any spectrum, conceptually, physically, culturally, everything. I try to show my full respect to the location. Why I made this idea, to map the store, I don't know. I don't know the reason. I was inspired to the location. Yeah, this is almost impossible to describe. It just comes and just made.
When a city invites you to do something with one of its famous monuments, it's quite an act of confidence on their part. First, I was slightly nervous about it because it's quite a difficult task to illuminate a structure that is so complex. But I was also, I have to say, very honoured that I was invited to do it. I took the job about a year ago and started thinking about it and started making some demos in my studio. Had a little model and tried making a home-scale version of it. And I discovered that what seemed to work best was to not only ignore the structure, but to even try to fight it, so that I wasn't really following the arches, but mostly I wanted to make something that was quite chaotic and very detailed. And I didn't have very many of those. I realized that I needed a lot of new images. So in fact, I would say about probably 40% of the images that we used were made here, specifically for this.
I wanted a brick building, and this one is fantastic because the brick is not new, but it's kind of almost, it's crumbling.
Every building has somehow in the decay has also revealed some of its geology, where windows were blocked, where once there was a door. And first I started to look at the windows and old doors and the idea of making works that were in those areas and making a raw clay work that would crack, so it would be this connection between the building and its origin as clay.
Não conhecia, né, o Parque da Madureira e fiz uma visita, fui lá ver, tá, e fui pesquisar um pouquinho sobre o que tinha, né, nesse parque antes. Então eu sei que lá existia antes uma favela que ficava exatamente onde está o parque, né? E eu achei interessante que esse trabalho, projeto especificamente, eu não desenvolvi especialmente para Madureira, eu já tinha esse projeto, mas eu achei que ele se adequa muito bem ao lugar, no sentido de que ele resgata um pouco a memória do que foi o Parque da Madureira antes de ser transformado em parque. E ele fala também dessa passagem da arquitetura, de uma construção humana por uma forma natural. E é um pouco a ideia do retorno dessas madeiras que foram tiradas da natureza, foram industrializadas, foram usadas, descartadas, e aí eu retomo elas e a forma dela, de certa maneira, remete de novo às árvores, às raízes e tal. Então tem esse ciclo, né, que fala um pouco do meio ambiente, do aspecto social, econômico. Acho que o trabalho ele tangencia essas questões sem abordar diretamente.
Múltiplas linguagens era uma coisa muito importante, ou seja, eu não queria fazer um evento de escultura ou um evento de vídeo. Na verdade, a coisa era criar uma mostra que lidasse com uma multiplicidade de linguagens. Ou seja, da instalação a uma intervenção plástica, projeções e, acima de tudo, gente que nunca tivesse feito coisa aqui. Para que chegassem aqui com um olhar fresco.
I'm happy to show this mapping stars or whatever. It's very poetic this time. It fits the location very much and to my mood now too. It's very, very nice. It could be more dynamic or violent or extreme stuff, but this time is very mild. It's more profound, deep. When you think about the universe, it's too big, too large, beyond your imagination. But everybody knows this exists. So try to mapping the whole universe on the beach. This is kind of crazy idea, but if you even feel slightly that vastness of this universe, everything, you will probably feel kind of awe, sublime, awe-inspiring. So through the artworks, I don't want to force the direction of the emotion, sad or joy or no, just I do my job and then let's see. But I'm very confident about what I'm doing. It's a little bit beyond personal, emotional mind. I want people to feel a little bit sublime.
I didn't know how to make the dome. I know what I wanted to be inside the dome, but I didn't know how to make, I wasn't sure how to make the dome. When Marcelo came to see me in Scotland, and he showed me a video of the Indian dwellings, and I had in my studio the exact same in a model that I was doing for another commission. I've made works like this before, not with clay, but it was a really nice moment where I realized this sculpture I've already done can combine with this one I want to make for the bones inside.
The clay eventually was something that I particularly was interested in because of the brick building, but also the clay that Rio is on and in the hills, and this relationship with clay. So it's a material that is very important to the city. But I wanted to go a little deeper, I wanted to get underneath the surface of things, and felt that to push it would be to actually enter the brick or enter the building somehow into a space that was raw and a very intense space. So you were actually engulfed in both the building but also the clay. But I've never worked against the wood before, or I've never made a dome. I've made flat ceilings, but the hairness clay and the wood was unusual. This particular piece is underwritten by a kind of a learning process.
This has a a deep sense of lack of control running through this one because the materials were so robust. So the beautiful thing, I hope, which will now occur, is that the whole structure, underlying structure, will start to speak and create cracking and things that will talk about how it was built. It'll be all cracks. It'll be like this, I don't know, like looking in the universe or something. It'll be in a state of collapse, a suspended collapse. It'll be like somebody falling, but never reaching the ground. Cracks essentially are about the abdication of control, because you can't predict the crack. That's why I make them. They're like throws. You know, you throw something into the air and there's an unpredictability about that, but you know that if you throw something in a certain way, in a certain light, in a certain atmosphere, in a certain place, at a certain time, it will be a great throw. So whilst you can't control it, there are some things you can work with. You make the right circumstances, and this is what I've done here, I hope.
This is the first glass labyrinth. The first labyrinth he made was of plywood. He's used marble. Then he's also used recently chain link fence a few years ago. And he's been wanting to, try to make one of glass. So this was a great opportunity to do so. One of the really nice things about glass is, as I say, it does have that really nice reflective quality. Also, you get this kind of filter, because you have one piece of glass here and then your next piece of glass here and your next piece of glass here, and it starts to create a little bit of a disorientation. The whole kind of idea of a labyrinth is, you walk through it, and so you're experiencing the space you're in. But by adding this transparency, you're not only experiencing that small space that you're in with your body, you're experiencing the whole space that labyrinth is in. So it really adds a nice element to the whole progression of movement.
I arrived here with 3 different musical ideas. I didn't know what the situation was going to be like, so I didn't want to put all my hopes in one piece. And the first thing I noticed, of course, is that it's extremely noisy. It's a very noisy place with traffic on 3 sides and traffic that makes quite a lot of noise as well. So I thought, okay, I've got to make a piece of music that invites all of these things into itself, so that you can't tell the difference between the music and the ambient sound of the traffic. Luckily, I had with me my new app, which is called Scape, which is basically a music generating device. So I was able to play that live, actually. So I played live every evening. I had a basic sort of fundamental piece that was pre-recorded, that ran through most of the show, but then everything else I added live. I was able to make some sounds that sounded like police sirens or cars, but a little bit more musical. So it made the buses and the planes sound like they belonged in the music. The visuals were a generative system which I've been using for the last 20 years or so, where what's happening is that there are lots and lots of images that I've prepared in advance, and they sit in a number of banks of images, and the computer is selecting randomly so that it's constantly creating new combinations. It's very unlikely that one combination of images would repeat.
En la escultura el proceso técnico a veces es muy espectacular porque todo es pesado y es grande. La pieza técnicamente está estabilizada con una estructura metálica, es la que la mantiene estable debajo del nivel del agua. Está fabricada con fibra de vidrio y resina de poliéster, mezclado con polvo de mármol. Es una técnica que utilizo desde hace siempre. También habrás notado que el material con la que está hecha, el polvo de mármol, recoge muy bien la luz. Siempre se ve muy cristalina, muy blanca. Y yo creo que esto da como un sentido irreal casi a la pieza. Parece como un sueño, una ensoñación. Parece que algo no cuadre, que no encaje allí. Y esto creo que es muy interesante porque genera preguntas en el espectador. Tenía en la cabeza esta idea maravillosa de Iemanjá en el agua, ¿no? Esta cosa casi de ensueño, de sueño. Cuando instalo una escultura, cuando pienso en un proyecto, la luz es muy importante. El sol nace justo detrás de la pieza y hace todo el movimiento por encima y el sol se pone justo delante. Me encanta ver cómo a medida que el día avanza, la pieza va cogiendo las sombras y las luces adecuadas hasta que vuelve a acabar el día y es prácticamente toda la luz la recibe frontalmente. Es como si la pieza fuera evolucionando durante el día. Con los ojos cerrados, yo creo que es una invitación a mirar hacia adentro, el camino interior. Está toda esta belleza alrededor, en cambio, ella está con los ojos cerrados. Hay momentos en que has de replegarte, en que has de volver a ti. Yo creo que escultura es esto. La escultura tiene esta fuerza enorme de evocación de algo superior a nosotros, algo divino, espiritual, mitológico, llámalo como quieras, pero que nos trascende. Y esta trascendencia yo creo que es inherente al ser humano. Nos hace aún más humanos, más frágiles, más personas, más sensibles. Y esta es la gran función de la escultura. Y en un espacio público aún es más fuerte esta intensidad.
Acima de tudo, assim, eu adoro que se gere essa polêmica, que a arte pode ser uma plataforma de discussão mesmo. Né? O que é isso? Quer dizer, estão trazendo uma coisa de fora para botar aqui no meu cartão postal? É exatamente isso, sim. Está chegando pelo mar, assim como chegou um dia, todos nós que chegamos por ali, e estamos invadindo a praia do outro para trazer alguma coisa de nova e levar alguma coisa daqui. É exatamente isso, né? Essa é a proposta. A gente quer transformar isso aqui de um balneário para um porto. Né? Um porto onde as coisas se trocam, onde as pessoas se contaminam, onde as coisas se geram novas coisas.
One of the words that I've heard here a lot and which I like very much is inclusion. This is, for me, a socially powerful idea, and Brazil is one of the places where it's being worked out. How do we do that? How do we make things that include more people? And as a social ethic, it's a fantastic thought. So I see this as being part of that ethic of saying we're going to make things that are for everybody, and they're invited to come. And I thought people were very respectful and very interested, and I was impressed with the audience and the way they behaved.
El arte es una forma de pensamiento, no es solo un problema de formas y de estética, es una actitud con las cosas. Yo creo que se está cogiendo cada vez más importancia la intervención de artistas en el espacio público, porque yo creo que es fundamental, es hiper necesaria. Yo creo que es una parte muy importante del arte, es su parte más democrática. Nosotros tenemos mucho para decir y ayudar. No podemos seguir escondidos en galerías y museos. Tenemos que salir fuera y también ayudar a construir la sociedad, ayudar a educarla. Yo creo que el espacio público es una pregunta. Si puedes plantear esta pregunta correctamente, ya es un éxito. Esta irrupción un poco brusca en la vida de cada día de la gente es importante porque es como si los movieras, los ayudas a desplazarse. El espacio público es muy importante porque es algo que existe y es donde debemos trabajar. Arte en el espacio público. Yo creo que este es el tema.